Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be taking a look at another learner's game that was played here on Failed Negotiations. By far and away one of my favorite maps to have a look at, because it's got so many interesting lanes. I oftentimes will say that this map should be what Supreme Isthmus is, right? It should be the map that everybody goes to, because it still has the two water lanes, it has a big fun middle area with a ton of reclaim to fight over. I guess Supreme is just a little bit easier. I don't know exactly why. But anyways, I'm very, very excited every time I get to show off this map. And today it looks like we'll be having a cute little look. Yeah, fun little look at a match that was played here and submitted over on the Discord. So our blue commander spawning as an Armada commander and in the naval position, which is always fun. One of the naval positions anyways. It's gonna be none other than 18D Schlangen. 18D Schlangen. There's a message there, but I don't really want to lean into it, so we're just going to go with our blue commander going into some good old-fashioned Armada Navy. Not a pick we see all too often, although I will say in the last couple of casts we did actually get an opportunity to see it. It's you know, Armada Navy has always suffered against Cortex Navy, but if there's ever a spot where this can be powerful, it's going to be on the big wide open fields of, well, naval play right here in the middle sections of the Navy lanes on this map. So digressing from that point here, we'll meet our red commander spawning over here in the island position and going to be playing some air. This has always been a contentious decision here on this map, either going for air in this position or going for air in this position. You kind of can get away with it if you're in this position, because this commander can just go for Navy, but then you have slightly less metal on the Navy commander, which does hurt a lot for Navy specifically. Legion commanders specifically can get away with that because of those overcharged mexes and the kind of funky eco scaling you can do with that. But it's going to be our red commander nonetheless. Youch! Yeah, Y-A-O-U-C-H. Youch. The Tom and Jerry named red commander here, clocking in at 28.99, basically 29 to open skill. You're going to be showing us what they've got. You guys know open skill is like a made-up number, right? I saw somebody using open skill in one of the comments of one of these videos to, like, justify why they were right and somebody else was wrong. Open skill is just an arbitrary, like, made-up number that really doesn't mean much after about 500 hours in the game. Like, there's, like, after you put in enough time, it's not even really 500, it's closer to, like, 100. After you put in enough time, your stability value is so high that you basically don't move. It's really, really hard to go up or down OS unless you're fighting against people that are vastly higher OS than you. I hope everybody appreciates that, because it was a little bit confounding to watch somebody try and make that argument when I was just sitting here thinking, like, wow, open skill isn't even half. I mean, it's only half of the ranking value that you're actually assigned in this game. It's very bizarre. I'll never understand that, right? People trying to make, like, classist hierarchical systems based on what rank you are in a video game is very, very odd. Just ignore somebody's entire thought process just because of the hierarchical ranking in a game. Very odd. Anyway. That side tangent well aside here. It's going to be our orange commander playing in the Navy over in the mirrored position to the blue on the northeastern side. For the red team, going to be going up against our cyan commander, N-M-E-T-R, Nemeter. Yeah, the cyan commander. 21 open skill going to be playing here in the Navy. Also as Armada, which is kind of cool to see. So we have two Armada commanders in blue, which is always funky. Very, very cool. We are going to be going up against two core commanders. Wow, so if anything, this is going to be a core versus armed showdown, at least as far as the water is concerned. Now, this is quite nice as well. I will say that the red team has done a fantastic job of contesting this midsection. Pink has actually rushed out a bunch of maces to put those in the middle here, so that's quite nice. These can be overwhelmed pretty easily by 6 or so pawns, probably 8 or so grunts, and we do have quite a few here from green, not sending them in to contest all this. With a decent surround, these will go down super quick. Commander self-destructed. We're very early on in the game for a commander self-D. We already have a, oh, that's a Hephaestus coming up. Oh, okay. Heavy transport right here from the, the powder blue commander has not been picked up and utilized, though. Gunboat's going down. Okay. It's a solid build order here from 18D Schlangen, the blue commander who's going for, oh, very cheeky. Okay, so we've actually, so we picked up the laboratory, I see. So we're playing kind of a, this is very risky, right? So if there's a bunch of frigates and you're down and suddenly you're not pumping units to the front, this can be really, really risky, but the first defense was successful. So now the blue commander is actually going to be able to move this laboratory ever so slightly further forward. And one of the things is that the Navy laboratory doesn't need a whole lot of build power in order for it to work really effectively. So it actually ends up working really nicely to just pick that lab up and eat it up, leave the build power behind to build title gens and all sorts of other stuff, and then just build those units from the forward lab. Ooh, Hot Carl. Hot Carl 669 is in a ton of trouble here. My goodness, down to just 27% HP all of a sudden as that LLT does get in. Yeah, it looks like Big Ugly Bear is going to go for it. Trying to get that trade off without the commander dying is tricky. Oh, he backs off. Oh, no. Ah, that was a very close call. I think Green might barely have been able to survive it. That was very, very close. Typically, if you're at maximum range from another commander dueling like that, you survive with about 30% HP. It would have been a really, really close call right there for Big Ugly Bear, but it would have been an excellent snipe. It obviously would have blown up a huge portion of the army, would have made it basically impossible for Yellow to contest this, at least on even footing here. It would have meant that Tack is suddenly surrounded, and it would have caused a whole bunch of issues. But luckily here for Hot Carl, he will manage to survive at least one more day. Tack now trying to build a bunch of LLTs to contest this mid-ground here. Actually, a E-stall right now for the Green Commander is unfortunate timing. Looks like we're going to need some more energy here built up, but we do have a bunch of units running up the hill here, so these thugs are going to fire away, and the aggravators, of course, going to launch those missiles as well whenever they can. And we have a torpedo launcher going to be firing into the distance as well. Torpedo launcher, kind of a... I mean, it makes sense. This thing does stupid damage, as you can see, blasting down these units really, really quickly. But it will be sniped right here from the yellow commander. Okay, I mean, I think that's a great move right there. Obviously, you need to shut that down. You cannot allow that to stay up and running. If we get 3 or 4 of those up and running, it's basically impossible to contest this, so I think that's quite nice. It is a surprising turn of events, though, here. The Pink Commander has not really been contested at all by Paradox Panic, who's kind of left Big Ugly Bear out to dry on the midsection of the map. All of a sudden, all this juicy metal is left uncontested, and the Dark Green Commander, or Lime Green Commander, rather, goes down. Well, okay. Oh, how the turn have tables. As Hot Carl is now allowed back onto the island with the yellow thugs and with the pink maces, and this is basically, suddenly an issue where I wouldn't be surprised to see Big Ugly Bear starting to spaz in the chat. This is one of those rager moments that we do see. Big Ugly Bear keeping it very cool, though. I appreciate it. Very, very calm and collected here as we do watch our teammate watch us die. And I mean, that's an awkward moment, right? That is a really awkward moment where you're just like, excuse me, bro. Care to help? Paradox is now going to fight another 2v1. It's really the issue is, like, if you don't fight that first fight, then suddenly you're both going to have to fight a 2v1. And going all the way up from entire armies fighting down to just individual units, that's always going to be a bad fight. Paradox Panic could do with D-gunning down that Centurion. If we get the D-gun on that Centurion, it removes so much bulk from this early composition here. At least we're reclaiming, though, so we are funneling some of that metal back. And it's not bad. Not bad. We're going to jump on over to the Naval. Actually, we have run-by units happening all over the place here. I do notice that we have, like, yeah, some stouts and other random tanks moving around. Just trying to find a little bit of value. It's kind of hard for them to do that. They can only go up this ramp on either side of this map. So this is the only area they're actually going to be able to aggress. But yeah, I mean, we'll find a mechs. We could probably sneak by and kill some more mechs if we were actually paying attention to it. Ooh, some unclaimed mechs over here. That's rough. These are oftentimes forgotten about because it's sort of unclear whether they belong to this green player or the blue player or the eco player back here. It really doesn't make much sense. It's kind of difficult to tell, so I would love to see somebody claiming those earlier on into the game. Brown Commander for the red team not making that mistake here. And as we switch on over to the Navy, you can see it's still a hotly contested battle, right? 18 D-Schlangen has put a lot of metal down in... Oh, we put it all in... in harpoons. Static defenses and build power. We are, oh, there we go. So we do have the lab still pumping out units here as well. Little bit of build power on that. I love this in the backline, though. I wouldn't mind seeing these continuing to scale, right? Just see these constantly harassing here. That's the pink commander brought down, by the way. An excellent snipe right there for the green commander. It definitely wins back a little bit of space on this front. But it's so many thugs, and they're so hard to kill. Thugs are super expensive, so you need to keep these online and at the very least get the reclaim back from them. They're a huge investment, right? Thugs are somewhere between a Centurion and a Mace. Maces are a little bit worse than a Thug, but Centurions are quite a bit better. All that is to say is, even more so goes for the Centurions. You do not want to lose these. You want to keep them repaired up, or at the very least reclaim their corpses back into your economy. But okay. Still fantastic here for the red team. Looked a little bit sketchy in the early game, but you know what? They made units, and that's kind of all they had to do. It's how they've beaten the green commanders. Yeah, all 3 green commanders on the front line right here. Quantum particles also setting up on this little low ground area on the beachhead. Fighting the units in the water is always a little bit suspect for the units in the water, right? They're a little bit slower coming out of the water, so they can be harassed down by the LLTs and whatnot here, and it looks like that's exactly the situation we see. Bunch of grunts, sort of the shock troops here for Impact MC will be blasted, and the aggravators weren't quite following that up properly to fire away rockets while they had the visions. That's a little bit of miss micro. Orange Commander porking up over here behind a whole bunch of these static defenses. Do we have the balance enabled? No, we do not. Okay, so going for a coral here. The heavy laser tower is a little bit interesting. There's a Navy rebalance patch, which I would definitely recommend you enable in any lobby you're going to be playing with boats. It has some extra turrets that are very, very fun to play with. They definitely lend a little bit more dynamic static defense. I don't know, that's kind of an oxymoron, but they basically make it so that you can defend early game oppressor and what is this one called? Corsair pushes and compositions a little bit easier with less units. Basically just better static defenses in general. 18 D-Schlangen here, though. Trying to hold on. I like the harassment here from Barshin, though. Doing a wonderful job of moving forward slowly but surely and keeping the pressure on with these. I'd like to see even more here at this point. T2 Lab coming up here for the Blue Commander. It's a little greedy. It's a little greedy to be going for this with this kind of a navy. Like, we don't really have a snowball force yet of destroyers that can kind of start picking off those frigates one by one. We do have a nice number of frigates, so at the very least it's going to brawl well against this, but it's always... it's just a little bit sketchy. It's just a little bit sketchy taking this fight, because you never do know if the enemy's going to go for like 100 gunboats or something and suddenly send them towards your towards the face of your fleet. I mean, at least we have the build power here to repair, so that's quite nice. Destroyers are very, very high in build cost. 10,000 build cost, which does mean they're quite difficult to repair, so double construction turrets repairing, you can see it really isn't that much. They'll get healed up eventually, though, and that's kind of all that matters, but okay. Team 1 Lab is going to be reclaimed here. We have the extra build power. Wouldn't mind seeing that being reclaimed, or used to reclaim here either. I mean, we're going to get it. 3,200 metal in order to get to a T2 Naval Lab. It's ginormous, the cost of that thing. Super, super difficult to afford. Obviously, the tech advantage is ginormous, though, so it's well worth it if you can get up to that tech level. Oh, but look at this. Hot Carl fortifying up the midsection here alongside the Pink Commander, who's even going for some build power over here. I really don't mind it. Gonna put a gauntlet on the high ground. It's one of the few positions in a game of Beyond All Reason where I'll say, yeah, you know what, okay, that's probably fair. That's probably well worth it. These thugs are actually grouped up so much because there's so many of them. You actually need to really spread them out, get a giant concave in order to get the maximum value out of them. At this point, it's very difficult to do. It's rare that you actually get to that number of thugs before the T2 game has brought about their end. We are looking that way, though, as Yellow Commander already up to T2 metal extractors, doing nicely here to just scale up the economy real quick, get those T2 mexes shutting off unit production for a little while. Wouldn't mind even seeing, yeah, some more constructors here, just to try and build a little more build power and a little bit more e-storage and whatnot in order to get this economy scaled up for T2. And it looks like we will make that jump right now. Fusion reactor coming up and running here for the Red Commander actually just finishes up for Youch, as we do have more and more of those T1 air fighters coming out here. Haven't really seen much air engagement from either of the air commanders, though, so it looks like basically we're just going to go ahead and ignore each other until T2, until we really have to engage. Typically, the first one to send something across the map gets the most value, but not always. Sometimes it is better to defend. T2 is up and running. T2 mexes are about to finish up here. Usually when you get a T2 like this, the first thing you want to try and put down is some sort of T2 static defense. One of those torpedo launchers, T2 torpedo launchers, is worth this entire army on the front line. With this army to guard it, it can do so much damage, basically turn off any kind of push from the Pink Commander. So it's a little bit sketchy not to go for that first. At the very least, though, the frigates can absorb a lot of this blow. Pink Commander looking at other ways to find value here. Does sniff out that the Purple Commander is on the move, and we'll try and send the boats in like this. This is the opportunity. The Blue Commander needs to move. If this is where we're going to move forward at, well, it just might work. Oh, we're disintegrating the T1 Navy to go for T2. How cheeky is that? Okay. You know what? I don't mind it. I mean, that's a valid strategy. It's actually even more so valid in Navy, right? Because those T2 naval units are even better. You have to be so careful, though. You can't do this and then not replace the bulk of that Navy right here. We need to see some more ships coming up and running. We have the radar jammer. Oh, we're going to go straight into, it looks like a couple of those dreadnoughts right now. Oh, that's so risky. You usually need like 3 or 4 Paladin out first before you go to the Dreadnought. 1 Dreadnought is fantastic, 2 Dreadnoughts is downright oppressive. But with a T1 Navy that's big enough, and the Pink Commander's Navy certainly is big enough, those Dreadnoughts are worthless. They get surrounded and you cannot do anything about it. Blue Commander needs to stall, desperately.
Commander destroyed.
Commander destroyed. Where on Earth? Ah, in the Navy. Looks like the Blue Commander was destroyed. However, it looks like the Orange Navy is in shambles. Okay. Dark Jador, the Orange Commander right here, in a ton of trouble as the, Cyan Force is actually completely overwhelmed the defenders that were left. Well, now's the opportunity here. T2 boat is up and running. Ooh. Blue Commander needs a juicy connection against this. Is providing the vision here for this Dreadnought battleship to fire away. We need to stop microing the Dreadnought right now. Oh, Commander goes down too. We're over microing the Dreadnought, meaning the front cannon can't fire half the time. Oh no. If guns were just laid to bear, I think it could have carved up more of this army, but they just don't have it. Dreadnought, second Dreadnought coming out here. Doesn't have the vision to engage this either at its maximum range. Oh, we're gonna retreat again. Oh, that is so brutal. It's a gigantic disadvantage that Armada has in the Navy, is that their main battleship here, the Dreadnought, cannot fire all of its guns in retreat. And just like that, the Pink Commander has completely enveloped the T2 production here for the Blue Commander. Wow. What a close call right there for Barshin. Couldn't have called that any closer, otherwise that T2 was absolutely about to overwhelm this. But there was just enough destroyers and pushed at just the right time before both of those Dreadnoughts came out in order to shut all this down. And yeah, just like that, Blue Commander loses it all. Suddenly we're forced to... we're gonna quit the game. It's a classic. Lose your lane, quit the game. That's what they always say. That's the motto for Beyond All Reason. And certainly our our lovely Blue Commander 18D Schlangen here. One to live up to that motto all the way. Shurikens to try and paralyze some of these fiends that are running by here. Lovely little run by right now. Honestly, can't complain much about the run bys here for the red team. They've kind of just been, they've had their heart in this game this entire time. They've been trying to kill the blue team, where it feels like the blue team has more or less just been trying to kind of hang out. They wanted to hang out in the midsection, weren't really committed to it, didn't really commit to holding it. They were just sort of eh. We have more gauntlets coming up, which is questionable at this hour. In the Lord's year, 17 minutes into a game this late, yeah, it's a little bit questionable. Torpedo launcher is going to be viable for taking back the Navy right here, especially with the lack of anti-air in this composition. Those heavy torpedoes hit hard, and with tons of AoE against clumped up units like this, they are going to hit quite nicely. Needs a little bit of micro, though. If you drop it over the land, boonk, right into the sand. Gotta micro these better here. Lavender Commander not microing them hardly at all. Basically what you want to do is have them out over the ocean and then fight command so they all drop their torpedoes, and then you manually move command them back out over the ocean. It's kind of the only way to do it. Unfortunately, the torpedo bombers aren't quite smart enough to figure that out on their own, but when something like that happens, we just call it a mechanic and we move on with our day. We make it a micro issue. Man, these things are so powerful, but the base is already dead. If we had targeted down these units to remove that snowballing effect, I think we probably could have saved it all, but unfortunately not the case. Even with... oh, actually we resurrected. Look at that. We resurrected one of the Dreadnoughts. How cheeky is that? What a cute way of getting a bunch of T2 firepower on the front line before you actually have your own T2 lab up. I love that. Still no T2 over on this right-hand side as well. We're just sort of... again, the Cyan Commander didn't push, didn't really make much of the fact that they killed literally the entire Navy right here of the Orange Commander at one point. Again, it just... the blue team is content to chill, and in Beyond a Reason, that just isn't an effective strategy.
Commander has died.
Commander pops in the midsection here, beset upon by a whole bunch of these Sheldon. I'm gonna have to be a little worried about that Tsar moving around over here. Tsar over-microed again here, though. That's the theme of today's episode, as the Tsar tries to swing its big gun around, but won't actually be able to connect with that bundle of Sheldon that it wants to here. Now, this massive army of tanks and whatnot is looking at this hill and wondering, why on earth were we produced? We need bots in order to go up this hill. What were we thinking? They're instead going to have to reroute this direction, and it might actually end up being a blessing in disguise. Simply for the fact that they're now going to effectively 2v1 here against the Green Commander. Sheldon are quite nice, of course, and these thugs can still do some work. Even with the Tsar on the field, if the thugs are spread out sufficiently enough, the Tsar still can't kill them all in time. You basically just have to negate as much of that AoE damage as possible. And if you can do that, the thugs can still find some value effectively as scouting forces here for the Sheldons, for the Starlights, for the Janices, for everything here that's firing away now. You can see this interesting little missile and rocket composition. It's a very odd combination of forces, right? Oh, look at that. Juicy connections from the missile launchers. Janice are also firing away. Hey, getting a lot of value. Okay. T1 forces showing us they can still fight that T2 off, even if they might be technologically inferior. Starlight, obviously front and center here in this composition as we mow through the T2 tanks that have rolled out here from the Green Commander's vehicle lab. Kind of an awkward battle, right? We have two vehicle commanders trying to engage against each other, but this big hill in the way kind of makes that impossible. Both of them constantly deflecting into the other lane. The red team seems to have made advantage of it, though. Oh my goodness, we missed a giant fight over here on the right-hand side, but look at that. Blue Commander has completely won this as well. Sort of in the same situation, actually. Or, pardon me, the Orange Commander's completely won this. Sort of the same situation, though, where, again, we have T2 transition. Didn't get the T2 units to the front line to stop all this, though. Now, this time, though, we do have the Paladins. Let's see if this changes the way that this fight goes. I believe it will. Paladins have an array of weaponry. They have a little Gauss launcher that is the 3-barreled cannon on top of their head. They also have 2 light lasers, which, for whatever reason, look the way that they do. They look very odd for some reason. Not like any of the other light laser textures in the game. These units are getting really stuck on all their different stuff here. The lab goes down. I actually wouldn't even mind seeing this lab eaten in order to fund this torpedo launcher. This torpedo launcher single-handedly shuts down this push. Again, it's really that powerful. With proper scouting, so it can connect every time, it does so much damage against these boats. And so frequently, too. As you can see, it's just ridiculous how quickly this can mow through these T2 boats here. Not to mention any flanking damage that might be put on this as well. Dolphins coming in to do just that. Finally, we're going to target down the torpedo launcher, but you can see it has already done huge work here. Nice follow-up attack right here, though. Bunch of pincer are pumped out here by Impact MC, who sends them across the field and does manage to overwhelm all of the base right now for the Cyan Commander, leaving nothing but a single mech, and I do believe that's going to fall here shortly as well. Boom it goes. T2 army pushing in as well. Oh, we do have sumos in position. That's great. Green Commander reacting appropriately with the sumos. That's a wonderful force to hold this back right here. Sumos are beefy enough, do enough damage, and fire fast enough to deal with any spam. They do enough damage to deal with the tanks. As long as they're in position, that is their only drawback, is that they're slow. So as long as they're in the right position, they do fantastically here. Unfortunately, there's only so many of them, and they can't cover every angle at once, and right now, Quantum Particles is in tons of trouble as these Garpike manage to roll their way up this hillside and the backside and start working away at the real core of the energy production here, the advanced solar panels, as well as all the build power and whatnot here in the dark green base. Pink Commander slowly moving in at this point, taking one decent trade after another, using the time to resurrect as many of these T2 ships as possible, and doing a much better job of supporting this destroyer. And you can see just how dangerous this destroyer is when it's properly supported. Capable on its own of shutting down these paladins before they even really have a chance to do too much damage to the actual supporting core here. Destroyers, of course, going to keep all this safe from the submarine attack as well, which is quite nice. And then the res subs behind to repair everything up after it gets a little bit damaged up, and they can also resurrect the paladins that are being thrown into the meat grinder here. In other words, handled quite perfectly here by Barsh, and I really like what we're doing here. Anti-air would, of course, be an excellent inclusion. One or two of those AA boats wouldn't be the end of the world. We've refused to eat up this commander wreckage, maybe thinking of reclaiming that. We do have AA on the way. It's just taking a while to get here. It really even wouldn't be the end of the world to just start up another laboratory in this area. Look at how much anti-air has been set up, though. Beautiful anti-air nest here. Just tons and tons of those thistles in order to clear out any anti-air boats that might be bold enough to dare and drop a torpedo. No Geo over here is questionable as well. Orange reinforcements now sent over in this direction. Looks like the blue team is folding under the slightest hint of pressure, as every one of them does tap out of the game. Tremors of firing here, saturating the field in a rain of plasma fire. Those condensed balls of matter exploding on impact here and releasing a concussive shockwave, tearing through the armor plating of a bunch of these units. There is quite simply enough, though. Tremors, kind of very meh. Without their slightly more precise targeting mode that they used to have, they don't really hit the same way. Any amount of spreading your units out is going to basically cancel out the damage that they can do, so they are very, very effective at holding a very specific size and shape of choke point, and this just isn't that case. It's just not the right use case for them. And that does mean the Sheldon are going to easily break through with the Starlight support. The Marauders coming in here, but that's the entirety of the backline base, and it does look like it will also be the last shred of morale here for the blue team, as our red team easily overwhelms them. I mean, what a one-sided match here. We had a little bit of a back and forth in the middle, but overall, it's hard to deny that the red team just felt like they wanted to win this game a little bit harder. Thanks a ton for watching, folks, and if you feel differently, feel free to argue with me down below in the comment section, and I sure hope to see you again in the very next match of Beyond No Reason. And more importantly than all of that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next cast. Peace out, everybody.